It's Betting in the Break, the show that gets you whole if you're down, and we're going to help you on the late Sunday night football game and then talk a little Monday night football and maybe some Thursday night football as well. And I've got a couple of prop bets to try to get you better. And if you have grown your bankroll today because you won earlier, we'll have a way for you to blow it on the late games. So there's always that opportunity. Joining me, a couple of great handicappers. And by the way, really exciting stuff going on in the handicapping world. Tom Macrina joins us. David Delano, Tom, super Philadelphia fan. David, the Ohio guy who is all over the Cleveland Browns today, joining us. And just to start us out, this so rarely happens. Loud Esmond is 5-0 today. Touchdown, Josh Allen. They went for it on fourth down, and he just ran it in for a TD. So with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left, Josh Allen gives that'll be a 9-point lead if they don't miss the extra point. All right. So one of the more exciting games of the day taking place right now. But I gotta say, Tom, 5-0 for Loud. Pretty good for me, right?
Yeah, that is wonderful. I wish I was anything close to that. Looks like I'm going to start my day off 0-4. So that's not good. I also was on the Browns. I had the Patriots earlier. It hasn't been a good day. I guess that Chiefs side the under, so that just died.
So it was actually kind of frightening me earlier today because I realized as I was texting, and I got to tell you, sometime we can let people in on some of our pictures of some of our group texts because some of the stuff that gets said is really funny. And so I was watching everybody text this morning and I was realizing I'm on the other side on almost every game that these really good handicappers are on. And I'm like, oh, I may be in trouble today. But, the Saints got the win against the Browns, which I guess a lot of people didn't expect. I felt pretty good about that game because Jameis Winston, he'd been a New Orleans quarterback. He throws a lot of interceptions. The Browns don't have a lot to play for. They're sort of disjointed. So I kind of like the Saints going into that game. I got rewarded with the win there. And then I had the over on the Jets game. Almost everybody was on the under. I cashed that. I was on the under in Steelers and Ravens, and I cashed that. I had the Dolphins minus 7.5 against the hapless Raiders, and I cashed that. So 5-0, happy. Some of the storylines from earlier today, David, the Steelers, do we have to start thinking about them as a serious, deep playoff threat?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. I didn't have nearly the day that you had, but that was one of the wins that I did have. I mean, the Steelers now, I believe they beat the Ravens 8 out of 9, and they've covered 8 straight as an underdog against the Ravens. So the Steelers just have the Ravens number when they play. But, yeah, I think that they're definitely a serious playoff threat. We see that they match up very well against the Baltimore Ravens. And, then it just comes down to can they beat the Bills or the Chiefs, or maybe those teams cancel each other out. So I do think that they can make a run. A lot of it's going to really depend on the matchups. But, the Steelers definitely can make a run.
The Denver Broncos, Tom, put on a beatdown, and I mean a beatdown on the Falcons today. Are they a serious team that is dangerous? Does anybody want to see that defense in the playoffs?
Probably not. And you see spurts where the Denver Broncos offense, just as today, just keeps putting up points. So yeah, this is a tough out. You won't have to go to Denver, but they're a good team. Bo Nix has them playing well.
Yeah, Bo Nix has looked very good. It just gets worse for the Jets. It just gets worse. Today may have been their worst loss, because they were up and they let a benched quarterback go 73 yards in the last 2 minutes to score a touchdown, not a field goal, 73 yards against the Jets defense under 2 minutes to score a touchdown to beat the Jets in New York. David, can it get worse?
Well, not. I mean, I don't know. I guess at this point, as bad as it is, maybe you just wish that they would have lost a few more games early on so that they could get a higher draft pick at this point, because they're really in the worst place that you want to be in, because they're built for, or at least they thought they were built to win now. You know, they invested a lot of their future in Aaron Rodgers, fired their coach, and now they're kind of in no man's land because, you know, you get Devontae Adams, made a little bit of a trade there, but you're at the bottom. So you don't want to be at the middle. You don't want to have a team that's built to win now that is going nowhere and have to rebuild. So I think that they have to make some big decisions in the offseason. I don't see how they bring Aaron Rodgers back. I know I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy who's going to want to be a backup, but I think it's definitely time to move forward. They tried it for 2 years and it just didn't work.
Tom, is Aaron Rodgers washed?
Aaron Rodgers has been washed for a while. His last MVP season was probably his last good season. But yeah, I agree. They have to move on from him. This team's as good as they were when they had Zach Wilson last year. Aaron Rodgers isn't helping. All he really does is bring drama. This franchise has had problems for a long time, and they need to figure something out.
So the Saints today, it was funny. I was listening to Sports Grid Radio, which, by the way, you can see me Tuesday nights on Sports Rage with Gabe Morency. I'm kind of a regular Tuesday night guest. I do a lot of the midweek college football games that a lot of people don't like to handicap and stay away from. But I get out there and risk it all on the MAC and the WAC and the Southwestern Conference and whatever. So I'm out there handicapping those games, and I was listening, and they were, of course, talking about the upcoming morning slate of games. And this one commenter was like, well, after the Saints lose to the Browns today, I can tell you one thing for sure. Derek Carr will not be the quarterback in New Orleans next year. And I remember when the Raiders ran Derek Carr out of town. Tom, is there a worse quarterback situation in the NFL than the Las Vegas Raiders currently?
No, there certainly isn't. I guess maybe the Jags.
I guess are we saying Trevor Lawrence is a bust?
I mean, I wasn't really ever high on him, but has he done anything except for the year they got into the playoffs? He hasn't.
He's been a great hair model.
I think the Giants and Browns could definitely enter the chat on this one.
Giants too.
Yeah, the Giants and Browns could enter the chat on this.
I'm not sure that Daniel Jones or Jameis Winston are worse than Gardner Minshew or Aiden Hutchinson.
Well, the thing with Jameis is you still got Deshaun Watson making, I don't know, $1 gazillion. He's still under contract for like 4 more years. So you can't just make the clean transition to Jameis. And Daniel Jones, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with also the money that they're getting. I mean, isn't Daniel Jones getting like $40 million as well? And he's awful. So, I mean, those are some pretty bad situations. So I go with Cleveland, yeah, Jameis is not so much Jameis, but it's just the fact that they're also tied into that Deshaun Watson contract.
Right, but let me just qualify by where I'm going by saying this. The Saints right now would pick 9th in the NFL draft, and it is a weak quarterback class. It is not a good quarterback class except for Shedeur Sanders and a couple others, and then there's really nothing that's a sure thing. So, and I would even say Shedeur Sanders for me isn't really a sure thing because there's things about his game I'm not crazy about. I'm also not crazy about his size. We've seen quarterbacks like Robert Griffin and others that don't weigh a lot. Give me Josh Allen, who's 240 pounds, right? I mean, that's Big Ben. Those are still your quintessential running backs, unless you're talking about the Garden Gnome who plays for Arizona, he's just insane to watch. It drives me nuts. It's like watching a cartoon. It's like suddenly my NFL game has become one of those. What were those movies with Michael Jordan in them? The basketball movies.
Space Jam.
Space Jam. Thank you. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's
The
like
Monstars.
it's like the NFL version of Space Jam. Anyway, I'm just saying you can get worse at quarterback by making hasty decisions, and it drives me crazy that. And I say this all the time on the show, and people have heard me say it a million times. I'm going to say it again. If Tom Brady had been drafted by the Cleveland Browns, he would have been out of the league in 3 years, and no one would know his name. And football is an ultimate sort of team sport. And you see a lot of quarterbacks get ruined, a lot more. And then you look at some of the quarterbacks that have played for the Jets, and you wonder is Zach Wilson really terrible? Did everything we see in college, was he really a terrible quarterback, or do the Jets just suck as an organization? Look at what's happening with Caleb Williams in Chicago. It's just Chicago will now have done this to 3 quarterbacks in a row where they bring them in. They're a top draft pick. They last a couple of years, and then they move on. It's insane. All right, let's talk about Sunday Night Football tonight. You got the Bengals visiting the Chargers. I'll throw out my first bet on this game. Bengals team total over 23.5. I like 28 points to 30 points for the Bengals this game. I know the Chargers defense is really good. Joe Burrow gets T. Higgins back tonight. He hasn't had problems scoring points on anybody when he's on, and I think he will be on tonight. Tom.
Yeah, I get you. The Bengals offense is definitely stellar. Burrow, Chase, Mixon, and then you have Higgins. I think he played last week, but yeah, he should be better this week. But I like this Chargers defense. This team hasn't given up more than 20 points all season. They don't give up big plays. Top scoring defense in the league. On the other side, you have the Bengals defense, who's pretty much awful. 26 in pass efficiency, 29th in rush efficiency. Chargers offense plays at a slow pace. They like to run the ball. We haven't been talking about Justin Herbert, but he has 11 touchdowns and 1 interception. This Chargers D is going to put the Bengals offense into a lot of 3rd and long situations, which is going to be tough for them. I think the Chargers are going to be able to run and throw the ball against this defense. I like that they're home. They're the better coached team. The Bengals' 4 wins are versus teams with a combined 9 wins. So I don't think that's too great. Bengals just played the Ravens, which I'm sure the Harbaugh brothers talk to each other. Also, the fact that the Bengals are a popular dog. I like to fade them. I'm going to go with the Chargers -2. I also like Will Dissly for anytime touchdown. Bengals defense has a lot of trouble covering the tight end. He doesn't have a touchdown yet this season, but I think he gets one tonight. That's at +290.
All right, David, I'm going to throw out another prop bet here, and then I'm going to let you wreck it, just like Tom destroyed my pick right there. Joe Burrow, over 1.5 touchdowns. And any other thoughts on this game?
I could see that. I could see that happening. You might get to 2, but I don't want to say it all again. But honestly, I feel like Tom had like the same notes as me. Me and Tom are really kind of seeing eye to eye on this game. The Bengals offense has definitely been explosive, but this thing makes me think back to that Sunday night game that the Bengals played against the Giants, that the Bengals won. They ended up covering, but it was really ugly, really low scoring game. Giants have been a terrible team, but one thing that they have done really well is putting pressure on the quarterback, and they were able to keep that Bengals offense down for a long time. It's just Daniel Jones is terrible. Their special teams are terrible, and they couldn't get it done. But the Chargers haven't allowed, like you said, more than they only allowed 20 points once. They haven't allowed more than that. So it's going to be tough. I mean, Joe Burrow might get those 2 touchdown passes, but I don't think the Bengals are going to erupt too much. I think maybe we've got about a 21-point ceiling. I think it's going to be a close game, but also leaning with the Chargers in a low-scoring game. I think they're going to make it ugly.
So the total in this game Let me get to the total just live and make sure that it's still what I saw earlier today. And of course, it's not showing it to me. Why not? Okay, here we go. Over 48 now. It opened at 45. So a lot of people have been pushing the over in this game. Tom, I take it you're on the under.
Yeah, I am on the under. I kind of feel like this game's going to be a blowout, like Chargers 31-10, something like that. I think Bengals are going to have trouble. I know they had to rest, but yeah, I love the Chargers here. I like that under.
You're on the under 48 and Chargers to win and -2. David, you on the same?
I like
-2.
I like the I like the Chargers. I probably would just say Chargers money line in this one. I love these games like this where, at one point I think you said 45. I think at one point this was 44.5 and now it's 48. And how often do we see games like this fall on like a 27-20, right? Where the total kind of wins and loses on both sides, just depending on where you got it. I can see this being one of those type of games.
And that's the public money. Both the tickets and the cash have pushed the over up. So the public has been pushing the over on this. I haven't seen a lot of sharp money movement yet. Maybe they've still got 45 minutes to put money in this game. So maybe the sharp money was waiting for this line to get pushed up, and now they're going to come in on the under. I think that's where I'm going to land. Is I could see this being 24-20, a score like that, and coming in under the under. San Diego's not going to score a lot. Cincinnati, because they don't, and Cincinnati's going to struggle against the tough Chargers defense. I like the Bengals, however, to win this game. I'm going to be on the Bengals +2 and on the under 48. All right, guys, thanks. This has been Betting in the Break on a Sunday night. We're live here, 4:15 Pacific, 7:15 Eastern, here on Winners and Winers every Saturday and Sunday nights. Betting in the Break, we will get you a hole or blow your bankroll. That's what we're here for.